I recently got a job delivering pizzas in a small town in North Carolina. I just started and this was my first night shift. I was going back to the store after a delivery a little after 9 p.m. and I saw this thing riding towards me on a bicycle. It looked like a person for the most part, but it was wearing one of those blank plastic Halloween masks that you can get at any store. The mask had a wavy line from the top left to the bottom right, which separated the mask into a purple half and an orange half. I couldn't tell what it was wearing because it was too dark out and the clothes were black. Out of the top of the mask there was something that could have been hair, but it seemed strange to me. The hair was at least a foot tall on its own, and the only way I can describe it was as a plant of some sort. It looked like a bunch of tangled branches and vines all sprouting from the thing's head. It was doing a wheelie all the way down the street towards me without losing any sort of balance. The thing that really tipped me off that this thing wasn't human, though, was the aura that it gave off. I couldn't stop looking at it for more than a second. It drew my eyes almost magnetically, and every single second I looked at it, the more terrified I felt. It wasn't just my natural reaction of fear either. It felt powerful and evil. My heart started pounding. I was screaming involuntarily, and tears welled up in my eyes. I was about to make a turn when I saw it coming towards me, and as soon as I completed the turn, the thing disappeared. I turned around to look back down the street I was just on, and it was just gone. I was extremely rattled, but I knew I had to make it back to the store. I made a slight left turn on the long avenue where my store is located when I saw the thing riding towards me again, still doing a wheelie. It started out on my right, but rode around me to get to my left as I proceeded towards the store. I was trying my best to outrun it, but it was keeping up with me until it suddenly jumped off the bike onto the sidewalk with hardly any effort. I whipped my truck into the store lot, hoping it meant safety. To my horror, I saw a bicycle not belonging to anyone in the store leaned up against the wall directly in front of my parking spot. I looked across the street to where I had seen the thing hit the ground and saw that nothing was there. I hesitated to even leave my truck, but I had to complete my shift, so I went inside with my guard up. My coworkers were all fine, but there were no customers in the store. That's not unusual considering the time of night, but that meant that the bicycle owner was not inside. I rubbed my face for a few moments in front of a fan and grabbed my next delivery. I exited the store to discover the bicycle was gone, even though I hadn't noticed anybody move it. I worked the rest of my shift until 11 p.m. and didn't see the thing again. The bike stalker was gone. The whole way home, I was unnaturally paranoid. Around every curve and corner, I feared it would be standing in the road waiting for me. I've seen a lot of things in my 20 years, but I've never experienced anything like that. I used to deliver pizzas for a pizzeria in Cape Town, South Africa when I was in university to make some extra cash. I used to deliver to the same house quite often. Incidentally, this place was quite close to where I lived at the time. There was nothing overtly strange about this place, except that whoever would receive the pizza would normally take quite long to come to the door. They would always ask me to pass them the pizza through the security gate instead of unlocking it and making it easier for everyone involved. One quiet night, a call came through for this house, and I collected the pizzas and got to the house reasonably quickly. This time, a lady who I had never seen at this house before opened the door and let me in. It was not entirely uncommon to be let into a customer's house, so I didn't think anything of it. She pointed me towards the kitchen, which was quite a ways down a long corridor, and asked me to drop the pizzas there. She followed me all the way, still nothing weird. The passage opened to an open-plan dining room and lounge area. Through this area was the kitchen through a door on the left. As I was passing through the dining room or lounge area, I saw something that sticks with me to this day. An old-looking dentist chair with a person lying on it. Whether this guy was alive or not, I still don't know. He had a sheet covering his whole body except for the very top of his head and his feet, which were duct taped together. I couldn't tell if he was breathing or not. The lady that opened the door was still right behind me, and she said absolutely nothing. We went into the kitchen and she paid me for the pizzas. At this point, I was either expecting to be attacked by this lady or someone else hiding somewhere, or to be scared by the guy under the sheet doing some sort of a sick joke. Not wanting to give anything away, I didn't say anything and prepared myself to either defend myself or to not be frightened should it be a joke. I walked towards the door, double-checking to see if what I saw was correct and not just my imagination. The lady, still behind me all the way, closed the door behind me as I left, and said nothing. To this day, I still have no idea what was happening in that house. It could have been some joke, but I really don't think it was. The presence of a dentist chair still makes no sense, and I didn't see anything else that would suggest the residents of the house collected weird paraphernalia. I drive past that house quite often and still wonder if I was in any danger. Looking back, I wish I would have called the police. It was dumb that I didn't. I guess I was just scared or played it off as I was misinterpreting it. In 2019, I was a delivery driver for a pizza place. I'd been a delivery driver for a while, and I loved the job. I'm super extroverted and loved chatting with people, and it was just fun. I also had my fair share of mildly creepy encounters given that I'm a girl and I was delivering in one of the sketchier areas of my city. I never thought much of any of them or saw any real threat. One night in particular has stuck with me though. I worked the night shift, so from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Around 8 p.m. that night, some guy ordered his food and the delivery was easy enough. His house was kinda creepy. There were no lights on, and when he answered the door there was a foul smell that immediately hit me. He also didn't say anything. I said my usual, "There's that for you, and could I get you to fill this out?" which was the tip prompt on my card reader. He didn't reply or acknowledge me asking him the question. I didn't think much of it and headed back to the store. Almost exactly when I arrived back, another order popped up to the same house. He had ordered the exact same thing. I was confused, but still not too worried, and took the delivery and had the same experience. No lights on, smelled bad, and he didn't say a word. Headed back to the store feeling more uncomfortable again, I still didn't think too much of it. I started to get extremely uncomfortable though when I arrived back to the store and had another identical order up. My manager at the time didn't understand the creepiness of the whole thing and insisted I take it. Despite my reluctance, I took it. This time when the man opened the door, I said, "You can order more than one pizza at a time, you know," as sort of an attempt at humor. He didn't say anything though and closed the door. I was thoroughly creeped out and did a sort of sprint back to my car. When I looked back at the house, I noticed a light was on and saw someone standing in the window. I couldn't make out any features, but I just assumed that it was the man. In the end, I still don't know who it was standing in the window or why. My manager called me from the store before I was even able to start my car to inform me that another identical delivery had popped up, and he directed me to leave as quickly as I could because he was starting to see the danger in the situation. As the call ended, I saw the man running up to my car. I couldn't move for a second because I was in shock. He was yelling something that I couldn't understand, and I sped away as fast as possible given that I was shaking like a leaf. We blacklisted the man that night, and he made several attempts to call the store. I still have no idea what his endgame was. This happened almost a year ago now. It's something that's still given me PTSD, and I'm currently on anxiety medication for it. I grew up in a small town. I was determined to get out of there from a young age. At age 15, I started working at one of the 2 local pizza places. By age 16, I was able to afford a car, a beat-up one, but it allowed me to get on the road and make deliveries, which meant more money. I had previously been robbed during a pizza delivery at a Super Bowl party once. I was held at knife point and had to forfeit all my pizza as well as my cash. This oddly enough didn't bug me all that much. I don't know why. To this day, I barely even talk about it, but after that incident, I took to carrying a can of pepper spray. It was late at night, almost closing time one shift, which was 1 a.m. We had gotten a call to deliver 3 pizzas to the next town over, which is a place that is out of our delivery range, but sometimes there were circumstances that would allow us to. The circumstances were that out of all delivery drivers, as well as the assistant manager at the time, there were a few that were peddling drugs. A customer would have to ask for a very specific order, specific sizes, specific toppings, and a certain order. No exceptions. It was a service policy for one of those specific drivers to make this delivery, even if it was outside our range. I was never one of them, but on this night, I was. I knew the trick of the trade, so when I saw the garlic bread bag on top of the more specific pizza orders, I knew it was a drug order. My assistant manager at the time even specifically instructed me to get the envelope from the customer and that he was sure they would tip well. I didn't want to conduct this. My hands were sort of tied though, as the usual drug delivery drivers were already out. I just wanted to finish my shift, so I took off with haste. It took me about 30 minutes to get to the location. It was in a very sparsely populated neighborhood. I went to the door and was greeted by a girl. I went to school with her a while ago, so that put me at ease a little bit. But she had changed a lot. She was pretty at one point and super outgoing. Now she looked like she had developed a drug problem, which isn't incredibly uncommon in my town. She greeted me with a smile and accepted the pizzas. Then, out of the darkness, my arms were restrained behind my back, and mere seconds later I found the barrel of a revolver placed against my head. I instantly pleaded for my life, which seemed to only amuse them. Then the one with the gun demanded my wallet. I saw no point in arguing and told him where he could find it. When I didn't have enough money in it, he demanded my work money. For a little more context, pizza places will typically tell you that their drivers don't carry more than $20 in change. This is a lie. This is mostly said so it doesn't seem like we're carrying more money in case of a robbery situation. But my robbers seem to know this. The guy with the gun hit me in the face when I didn't produce the rest of the money. I usually left this in my car, and he didn't accept my explanation. At that point, I was forced into the house. I screamed for help, but it was accomplishing absolutely nothing. The guy that was holding me threw me on the couch, and the girl had closed the door. I explained to them that I wasn't aware of any policy, and if they had an issue to please take it up with my assistant manager. The guy with the gun, who was clearly under the influence, asked for one driver specifically. He asked why he didn't show up. I told him he was making other deliveries. It took everything in me not to cry at this time. After asking me some other questions that I couldn't answer, he put the gun to my head and pulled the hammer back. He then instructed me to call the other driver and have him present himself. I slowly complied, but instead of grabbing my phone, I grabbed my pepper spray. It felt stupid, but I saw a brief opportunity to get out of there. I elbowed the pistol out of my face and then sprayed the canister onto his. I didn't take any chances. I sprayed him in the eyes, nose, and inside of his mouth. The smell of that stuff still irritates my sinuses when I think about it. Now, I've been in exactly 3 fights in my life before this, and I lost all 3 times. But after spraying him, I hit him in the crotch and then slammed my fist down on his face. We wrestled for the pistol for a few seconds. I managed to get it on the floor and grabbed it away. The other guy took a few steps towards me, but then backed up once he saw I had the gun. Once he saw that I had the gun in my hand, he backed off and asked me to leave. I'm not a violent person in the slightest, but I'll admit I still get joy out of the look on his face when he saw me holding the gun. I was on cloud 9 for a few minutes as I drove away, but once I got a healthy distance from the house, I pulled my car over and had to take a moment to compose myself. I then realized I was still holding the pistol. Upon further observation, I noticed that it only had 1 bullet in it, and it wasn't the chambered one. He could have pulled the trigger about 4 times before I got killed. He probably was going to use that as a tactic to scare me if I didn't do what he wanted. When I got back to the restaurant, my manager and I got into a heated argument over what happened at the delivery. I wasn't having that after what I went through, so I just left the store early. I couldn't really call the cops at all because I had been part of the drug deal and had agreed to do it, so I didn't think that would be smart. When I got home, I told my stepdad about what happened though. He later went to go find my manager about it. I don't know what happened, but when I got to work on Monday, I clocked in with no issues. I worked there for about another month. Then I decided I'd rather work somewhere else where I wasn't treated poorly and putting my life in danger. My boyfriend and I like going out dancing on the weekend, which always ends with us stumbling into our favorite pizza place. We've done this most weekends for over a year now, so we've become somewhat friendly with the guys who own the pizzeria. They know us by name and always make a big fuss over us and offer us a discount every time. One night, a Sunday night at 11 p.m., my boyfriend and I were in bed because we both had work the next morning. My phone started ringing, which was weird for that time of night, and I saw it was an unknown number, so I ignored it. The next thing we know, there was some knocking at the front door. All the lights in the house were off, so we were clearly in bed or not at home. I had another call from the same number, and then the person knocking started hammering on the door and flicking the mail slot. My boyfriend got up to answer it, even though I was a bit shaken up, and warned him not to. He went downstairs to answer the door, and lo and behold, it was one of the guys from the pizzeria holding 2 freshly cooked pizzas that we didn't order. He said not to tell the other guys of the shop, but they were a gift from him to us, his favorite customers. My boyfriend took the pizzas from him and thanked him, but we couldn't get back to sleep for hours. We just felt so odd about it. We had just left the pizzas in the kitchen because we weren't hungry and eventually threw them away. We had ordered from there once for a takeout, so that was clearly how he got our address and phone number, but it was still weird. After that night, the guy who I will call Bill turned up at our house. My boyfriend and I went out for drinks a couple of weeks later and ended up in the pizza shop. We noticed immediately that Bill wasn't there, and I assumed that he was out on a delivery instead. Before we left, though, the manager came out of the back and said hello, and then apologized profusely about Bill's behavior and told us that he had fired him. He was very thankful that we were not boycotting the place, and I assured him that we wouldn't because it was really the best pizza in town. I'm not sure how the manager found out about Bill bringing the pizzas to our house, but I informed the manager about everything else that happened that night, how late it was, Bill calling my phone, and the manager was furious to say the least. He assured us that he wouldn't be letting him work there again, and my boyfriend and I went on our way and went back home. A few months later, we moved to a new house and never heard from him again, until he showed up one night at our new house. He was delivering food for Uber Eats. I didn't want to take it farther because we hadn't heard or seen from him in months, so we just left it alone and went about our lives. But then, about a month ago, I was going through my message requests on Facebook, and I saw that somebody called Bill had been messaging me, or rather trying to message me, for months. I went into the messages and clicked his profile, and lo and behold, it was Creepy Bill. I blocked him immediately, and it was then that I decided I would report him on Uber Eats. So I filed a complaint about him and haven't heard anything since. But I still have no idea how he found me on Facebook or how he knew my surname, but he did, and he tried to message me for months.